Hello, hi, and welcome to EmpathicFire. I am your reader, Jay. These are going to be general messages for the sign of Scorpio in the month of May 2019. Hi, Scorpio. How are you doing? I hope you guys are doing well. Well, guys. Here we are in May. Almost half the year is done. Time is just motoring along, huh? Scorpio, I have shuffled off camera. That's your main spread there. What I will shuffle for now is your outcome and your overall energy. Once all the cards are out and they're lying face up on the table, that is when the reading begins. You can look in the description box below for the timestamp if you want to jump ahead. That's totally cool with me. I do not blame you. Also down there is the information you need if you want to get a personal reading with me. Right now the price for that is $25, but come next month in June, the price will be going up. So if you want to get the most in-depth reading with me for the lowest price, I would suggest booking before then. Otherwise, the price goes up. Sorry. But in addition to doing that, I will be putting 2 different types of readings out for you guys as well to sort of offset that price raise, okay? All right, Scorpio, let's go ahead and get you guys an outcome for May 2019, okay? Please show me Scorpio's outcome in May 2019. May 2019 outcome for Scorpio, please show me. Whoa. To the ground. Bottom of the deck is the overall energy. And it's right on top of my foot. Come here. There it is. Alright. Oh no, that's crooked. Alright. Let's go ahead and flip everything over and see what you're working with. Here he is again, or she is again. Coming out for a lot of signs. What do we got here? Okay. So, Scorpio, if you've been here before, I'm going to address it before I even ask. No, that's not how I do it. Look at me, going out of order. Shame on me. I don't explain until we get to it. It's been a day. Please show me where Scorpio is in May 2019. Please show me Scorpio in May 2019. Please show me. Wow, okay, cool. Right there. All right, Scorpio, coming into May 2019, you come in with the energy, or excuse me, the card of the Knight of Wands, which is fire sign energy, so Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. You might be dealing with one of those signs, but you do not have to. It has been a day. I'm tongue-tied. I've talked a lot today, so I apologize in advance for all the missteps I'm going to make with my mouth today. So, but for you, Scorpio, Knight of Wands, talking about adventuring, talking about travel, talking about quick movement, not as quick as the Knight of Swords per se, but quick and passionate movement, you know, and wanting to leap forth, burst out, or, you know, totally, you know, jump out of that plane and pull the parachute. So there's this drive in you, Scorpio, or this dream in you, Scorpio, of being daring, of being bold and dashing and just like kind of throwing caution to the wind and charging forth with something, a creative idea. You can have excitement behind a particular hobby of yours that maybe you get to do once or twice a year. Like maybe some of you are active, what's like an extreme sport? Like skydiving, sure. I think, well, I don't know that it's a sport, but you could be into like things that you can really only do, you know, a few times a year. And so that time is coming up, you know, better weather in May or certain locations, you know, maybe like, I don't know, but just for the sake, I know like surfers, a lot of surfers who are competitive or, you know, very interested in like big wave, like they travel across the world to find like wonderful beaches to surf. So it's something like that. So there's a correlation for many of you, not all, between timing and the ability or basically the right time to act, the right time to express yourself, the right time to take the trip, the right time to go forward with a creative plan, begin a project, things like that. And so you're anticipating this, you're planning it, you're seeing it come to fruition. You're seeing the chance. You're seeing, you know, some of you, all the pieces are kind of falling into place. And so it's this idea of striking while the iron is hot. and that's very important to you. Others of you, thank you. I'm like, here we go, all day, pick it up again, all day. Jeez. Anyway, all I've had a day, guys. I've had a day. Anyway, there's another part of this for some of you, which is get the hell out of Dodge. I feel an escape. I mean, you know, this is kind of like a spy movie. Like, I've never seen a James Bond movie, but I know it probably happens, where, you know, 007 is like in an aircraft and it's about to crash, or it's going down and he, you know, disarms somebody, takes their parachute and jumps out and probably puts the parachute on while he falls, however fast you fall towards the earth. And it's like this very suspenseful, you know, crazy action movie moment. But I kind of feel that for some of you. Like, some of you are like rushing out the door or rushing out of the plane without fully having your parachute on. So in that case, I'm feeling there's this need to go now. Like, the plane is going to crash into the side of that mountain. Let me get out of here because I don't want to die that way. And you know, God forbid that would be literal. I doubt it would be literal for anybody out there. But just in case it is, be careful. But the energy of I must do it now. You know, it's a life or death situation where you feel very pressurized. You feel very tense about it and under the gun. Okay, so some of you, it's like more adventurous, more like at your leisure, ready to jump out of a plane. And others of you, it's like, hell no, this is a bona fide emergency. You know, flotation devices at the ready, let's go, because I need to leave, I need to act now before a catastrophe hits, okay? So there's this push to move, regardless of your motivation. The push to move is there, okay? Now, yeah. Okay. Now, for some of you, yeah, the time to act is now. Yep. So, Wheel of Fortune. Oh. Secondary card of Sagittarius, as it's ruled by Jupiter. Also associated with the fixed signs, Leo. Oh, I said it out of order. I'm sorry. Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. So you're in this energy as well, or excuse me, you're in this card as well. But I'm feeling it's mostly this emphasis on the Sagittarian and Jupiter association with this card, which is expansion, concerns about luck or fortune, and like a wider cast net, knowledge. In some cases, something is explored that hasn't been explored before. And the other aspect here is the fitting of it. The fitting? I suddenly have a tickle in my throat. 1 second, I'm sorry. Oh my God. Pardon me, I apologize. Like I said, I've done a lot of talking today. And you guys are going to be the last people I talk to. Okay, so pressing forward. And yeah, pressing forward also in the reading and also in your energy. Excuse me. Sorry, guys, I do apologize. So expansion and casting a wider net in terms of like understanding something. So I'm getting for you, Scorpio, is there has been an attempt or will be an attempt to kind of gain knowledge or see something from another perspective. And there's an issue with timing. So maybe some of you are going on a course, you're joining a retreat, something like that, where, you know, maybe you're retreating up into the mountains in South America and it's some type of work with shamans or something like that. I don't know. Excuse me. So, and it's opportune, you know, fortunate, opportune. Oh my God, I'm going to pause the video. Hold on. All right, Scorpio. Excuse me. I apologize about that. Ay, what a day. Perfect. So going and traveling somewhere, working with a guru, working with shamans, working with healers, things like that. Like I'm getting like literally distant lands, like in the rainforest or in like like Peru. I think I'm getting like a Peru thing specifically. and working with the indigenous people or people who have knowledge of the indigenous tribes and practices and all that kind of stuff. So maybe not specifically Peru, but the idea of working with something tribal and indigenous that is not of your purview. You don't, most people don't get that education going to college, for engineering, My God, if I have to pause again. Yes. Sorry, guys. Alright, guys. Third time's the charm, maybe, hopefully. Okay, so indigenous people, all that good stuff. I'm also, not also, but the purpose is because it's off the beaten path. Yeah? This experience, this work with this close, tight-knit community, or someone who is sort of like a guide into that world, a guide into that culture and that society and all of that stuff. And so someone is on a journey or a pilgrimage to gain knowledge and experience or insight working with indigenous people, okay? That is obviously for someone very specific or a small handful of you, okay? But the sentiment is still there. That opportunity is fortuitous. That opportunity, that chance, even if you worked for it, even if you had to pay top dollar to get that experience, it's fortunate in the sense of whatever you're moving towards as you jump out of this plane, as you take that leap, as you burst forth with your energy and your passion, whatever you're moving towards is the benefit. So creative ideas, this exploration and working with native people or indigenous people. What else could it be? Oh, gosh. Some of you, it's a timing issue, okay? So the timing, when the timing is right, okay, thank you. Some of you, it's like a release from something. So maybe some of you have like a deadline, and once the deadline hits, then after the deadline, you burst forth with your new endeavor, okay? Or some of you are being released from something contractually. Some of you are being released... or someone who's being released from prison or some type of withheld state. And once that happens, then we can move forward with whatever. So it's really, the tides are turning, okay? Talking about that surfer thing that I mentioned earlier, the tides are turning. And once something ticks over, or once a tide sort of hits a crescendo or hits like a crest, boom, then we get like this floodgate or this really... I feel like super beneficial, this swelling and this expansion of something, like something grows quickly after we reach a certain point, after we cross a certain threshold, after we jump from the plane, something grows quickly, and it swells very quickly. Now, I am feeling that's mostly beneficial. The quote-unquote downside to this is even if you're expecting this, because I feel there is some expectation and anticipation with that Knight of Wands, even if you're expecting it, even if you're calling it from a mile away, once this happens, XYZ will happen. Once XYZ actually appears, you're going to be like, holy shit. Some of you are going to be taken aback. Some of you doubt how much this situation will impact you, or how quickly it'll come upon you, or how quickly it's going to open up, okay? So there's a little bit of being sure, but then when it actually happens, kind of having to, face the music or face the situation head on. And most of you are like, yeah, I can do it. It's just like that momentary pause of, you got to catch your breath, okay, like that deep breath before an actor walks out onto stage of a play, or the little mantra you say to yourself, water off a duck's back, or something like that before you go into a meeting, or before you go and have a sit-down chat with somebody that you need to have a chat with, or before you jump out of that plane. I've never done it. Would I ever do it? I don't think so. But but I think a lot of people, the instructors or the people that go up in the plane with you, a lot of times they'll say, You know, they do like a little saying, and then once they say that saying, it's time to jump. Something like, instead of doing like a countdown, something like that is what I'm getting. So it's good. You have planned for it. You've anticipated it. But at the same time, once it arrives, it's kind of like it takes your breath away for a second. Okay. Now, what's going on? Or, I mean, that's kind of obvious. But I think this is what you're kind of hoping for, which, okay, thank you. This is doing two things. One, this is kind of what you've worked for. This is kind of what you manifested for yourself. You've put in the work, whether that be financially, whether that be, you know, in terms of working, in terms of hours on a clock, working at the office, working in your studio, whatever. A lot of you have put forth the effort to give yourself this new opportunity, so that's great. The other part is that it's being bestowed upon you as well. Like, it's sort of like what you put in, you get out. What you reap, what you sow, right? So right now, you're knowing that I've been sowing. I've been putting seeds in the ground. I've been toiling and working the soil, working the land, and now I just wait for the harvest. Now, the Ace of Coins is not harvest time. It is the initial start to something, okay? So for those who are going on that journey, going on that trek up into the mountains, working with the local people, that's the beginning of something. So if this is the first time you're going to Peru or anywhere, Tasmania, I don't care, any country, and it doesn't have to be even international. Like if you're in America, you could be going 2 counties over, working with, you know, maybe you are a city person and you want to work with local families in the Appalachians. Okay, go do that, whatever. But when you get there, or rather this trip, this journey is the first time you're doing it. It is the seed, the first time you've put this seed out into the universe, working with these local communities for whatever your reason is, okay? Then when you're welcomed in, you're greeted, you're shown around town or you're shown around the village, whatever it is, you set up shop with your host family and you break bread with them or whatever. That is the beginning. That's the sprouting of this seed that you've previously planted over months, getting the plane ticket, you know, making sure that you have the right sponsorship behind you, blah, blah, blah. Making sure somebody can watch your dog sit for you while you're away for the 2 weeks because you're going to be, you know, trekking a mountainous trail, working with a shaman, whatever you are doing. It's again, you get what you give, you reap what you sow. So you've planned it out. You've put effort and money towards it. You've planned it. You've hoped for it. And then when it starts to come back to you, it looks golden and sunny and it enriches you. I'm feeling like this enrichment here. And again, being that it's above that wheel of fortune, and again, the aspects of Sagittarius, not a Sagittarius person, but the aspects of Sagittarius and what Sagittarius rules over, this concern about knowledge, learning from a higher perspective, from a worldly perspective, philosophical perspective, okay? You're not just here for the textbook experience. You're not here to buff up your resume. Like, that is a bonus. If this is like work related, that's a bonus, having this go on your resume, or if you're in college or whatever you're doing, that's the bonus. The real nugget here, the golden nugget that you're seizing, that you're wanting to possess, excuse me, is the life lesson, is the life experience, is the opening up of your world perspective and understanding a different experience or understanding a different knowledge set, okay? So this was like a creative project, something you worked on musically, or maybe you're a dance instructor or something like that. Maybe you're a game designer, okay? Maybe you're in partnership with a bigger design house or a publisher or something like that, or you've been hired by, you know, a huge video game publisher, something like that. It's nice. It looks good on your resume, but what you really want to do is get in there and work on a specific game title, or you want to get in there and you want to work with a specific creative director, etc., etc. It's like, it's really beautiful for you. I almost called you Sagittarius. I apologize, Scorpio. It's really beautiful. And yeah, it requires you. Thank you. I'm like, there's something here. And then I look down. Yeah. So remember when I said there's like a little bit of a pause, like you gotta catch your breath? The Emperor card of major arcana card for Aries. So some of you might be dealing with an Aries. But there's this idea of having to meet this person and or possess this energy that could be contributing to that pause in your initial introduction to this new experience. Okay, it could be that this person is a little intimidating. If it is an external person, the Emperor is known to be intimidating. The Emperor is known to be, you know, the person calling the shots, very businesslike, very authoritarian, and really does not suffer fools, really does not stand for excuses, wants a job done and wants it done right the first time, wants it done today, not tomorrow. You know, it's just like very high expectations with this person. And a lot of you, like I said, would be initially intimidated by this person. But here's the thing I feel about the Emperor, regardless of the sign of the person. The bark is worse than the bite, you know? In terms of work, I have to be a hard ass to get results, or I have to hold people accountable because that allows us to create a great product. In terms of, you know, maybe the intimidation for those traveling the world, experiencing new cultures, is that, you know, you might, you know, violate some decorum. You might, you know, make a faux pas. You know, maybe in their culture, you're not supposed to address a person directly by their name. Maybe you're supposed to address them by their father's name or something like that in this village. And so you make the mistake of calling, you know, the daughter of the father by her name. And it's like, no, you're supposed to call me by my dad's name. Some thing like that. And you misinterpret or you misunderstand or you forgot that that is the rule, that that is the expectation. And so you go and you make this misstep. And this is the shaman or this is the guide who tells you, listen, you know, when you talk to her, you have to say this. And then you like feel really embarrassed, or, you know, maybe the way that they say it, like they might stop you as you say it. They're like, no, don't call her that, call her this. And you're like, oh, sorry. You know, you're put up against, not up against the wall, but you're like, you got egg on your face a little bit. Okay. And again, it's like the person, their energy is very intense, but their intentions and their true impression of you is not that you're stupid. It's not that you're anything. Like, they're not judging you. They're just about their business because that's what they have to do in this context. In the context of work, in an office, in a creative space, whatever, I have to be holding people accountable. I have to set the standard because otherwise the ship won't respect me, or in the ship, but my colleagues and my employees won't respect me. You know, stuff like that. Outside of those contexts, this person, again, the qualities of the Emperor are very warm, actually. I think a lot of times the Emperor can be forgotten to be a warm individual. And he's warm because he takes care. And I say he because that's traditionally what it is. This deck, all the characters are female, so no gender here. So the Emperor is innately warm in the sense of his task that he takes pride in is being a provider, is being someone that people come to and look for guidance from, protection from, or not protection from the emperor, but he is a protective force, okay? So there is a softness, it's very subtle, but there is a softness to this person. So I think for you, Scorpio, you might be thrown off by how initially abrasive this person is. I would suggest don't fret too much about that. Remember or open yourself up to observe more about their personality and see that behind the abrasive exterior, there is a kind, caring person who wants the best for everybody involved, but they do have high standards. They do have expectations that need to be met. Okay. Anything else with this? Right. So there's a little bit of a shared energy here, a little bit, where in this person's presence, you will need to step up. So business-wise, if this is your new boss, they're going to throw you right in there with the wolves. There's no great, I mean, there would be, well, for most cases, a trial period or a probation period. So it's not like, you know, you get hired on day one and there's a potential to get fired on day one. I'm not feeling that from that person. But there is this expectation that, you know, you're going to sink or swim here in this environment, okay? So you need to match their energy. You need to match their confidence. You need to match their capabilities, their fortitude. You need to match their savvy, okay? And it's not specifically from them. I think it's the environment that you are in with them that requires that, okay? So this whole going in and traveling up into the mountains or going into, you know, some dense valley or thick rainforest, if this person is eating beetles to survive and you don't like the idea of eating insects, you should change your ideas. You should change your ideals a little bit. If this person is living off the land, and if off the land means eating grubs, you're going to eat grubs. You know? So this person, however they factor in, whether they're a guide to you, whether they're a boss to you, some of them could be a new acquaintance, a new friendship, a new dating partner, maybe for like a few of you, like, match them. If you don't, it's fine. I don't feel there's going to be much of a fallout, but this person and you, I think, would get along better if you match them, because I think you have that energy and that potential here. That Nine of Wands is a lot of potential. And so, and this might be the time. Thank you. Okay, so if this person is like, match me, they're not telling you that, but that's kind of the air that they're giving out to the match me, get on my level, get on my level. If they're giving that energy off to you, that impression to you, here you are with the potential and the gumption to do it. And you're meeting with them, you're working with them, you're spending time with them. That is the chance to prove yourself. The chance to prove yourself. All of this. Okay? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Now, if you've been here before, you kind of know what this is, and I've almost spoiled it for everybody else, but in my reading, sometimes there is what I call a triplet, where two cards come out in one position and it makes a triangle shape or a pyramid shape together with the card above or below it, right? Usually the triplet is a separate storyline, or it supports the main story, which we talked about there with the 4 cards. And interestingly enough, Sagittarius, ooh, I called you that again. So somebody's dealing with the Sagittarius. Interesting. Scorpio. The interesting thing is you're the 8th sign and you're the first person to get the triplets. That's interesting because, you know, usually the triplets are repeating throughout for several signs, but you're the first. There's 4 more to go. So we'll see if any of them get it, but I'm wondering if you're going to be the only one, because I don't know. I feel like this is something special. I'm not even looking at what these cards are, but I feel like this is something special for you guys. Okay, so let's take a look. There of Wands, Queen of Cups, and the okay. So you've been on some retreat, or somebody's been on a retreat. Somebody's been learning about themselves. Somebody's been doing some inner work, and we are ready to move. Got it. Thank you. And it's nice, like it's very effusive, this energy. All right, so on the bottom there, you've got the Queen of Cups along with the Hermit. So Queen of Cups energy, water sign energy, Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. Probably that's you, alongside the Hermit, which is the major arcana card for Virgo. So there might be a Virgo in your life of significance, but of course does not have to be. But this is that internal work and shining a light within and like really spending a lot of quality time with you. I feel that many of you have been on a retreat within self, or maybe that's reflected here. Maybe this going down to Peru or wherever is a trip to get to know you. I'm trying to find myself. You know how it is in this day and age. I gotta go find myself. I'll be back. So maybe some of you have done that or are about to do that. But it's tender. It's very tender. You know, I think a lot of times the Hermit by itself can be a little abrasive, can be a little scary, can be quite trying and over like, it's sort of like being by itself now, is what I'm trying to explain to you. When the hermit is by itself, what I get in my mind is a sensory deprivation chamber, which is you go in, you float on water, there's no sound, you can't see a damn thing, and it's just you and your thoughts floating on this water, right? The lack of sensory stimulation is supposed to open you up, and you're supposed to experience something in there. I don't know. I haven't done it. I would do it, but I haven't done it. Anyway, what I get from people who have done it is that lack of input, being cut off from your 5 primary senses, is fucking freaky, and it can be overwhelming and intense. So that's usually what I get when the hermit is by themselves, or when this card shows up alone. It's like, oh man, going deep, 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 and it could be too much. But with the Queen of Cups right alongside it, there's a tender, loving care aspect to this introspective exploration that you're going through, or have gone through, or will be going through. You're all on different timelines, so plug it in where it fits, yeah? I like it for you because I think the intenseness of the hermit energy is offset by what the Queen of Cups brings into it, which is sympathy, empathy, which is understanding, love, very, very romantic, but with the self. And not romantic in the sense of like romantic as in you're taking your time. Like, this is going to sound weird, and I'm not trying to put it exactly in this lane, but I hope you get what I'm saying. A lot of you Scorpios have been dating yourselves. You are calling yourself up for a date. You are scheduling yourself a nice meal at a restaurant. Not that you're literally doing these things, but like that's the effort you're putting into whatever the hermit is on schedule to do, or is interested in doing. So if you are wanting to find yourself, wanting to explore the deep, dark crevices of your consciousness and your existence on this planet, you're wanting to understand your subconscious mind, you're wanting to heal pain from your past, whatever, you're going about it very tenderly. Like I said, when the hermit is alone, it can be very harsh and overwhelming. So you're dating yourself, you know, maybe that's it. Like you go to a session, you go to the chamber, the sensory deprivation chamber, and it was rough. You wept like a baby for 5 hours in that shallow pool of water, whatever. When you come out, you take yourself to Baskin Robbins. You get yourself a little DQ. You go get yourself a slice of cheesecake and you pig out. Like, not that whatever the hermit does or is on task to do is a punishment, but it can feel very punishing. It can feel very devouring. I can't pronounce that right now, but whatever. Like consuming. Thank you. Very consuming. And so to let yourself down gently, to bring yourself back into reality, to give yourself, you know, a little pat on the back, you give yourself a little bit of a treat. You go binge watch your favorite TV show, you know, oh, I need a laugh. Let me go watch The Office, you know, something like that. I like it because you need it, okay? You need a little TLC, you need a little sympathy, you need a little bit of a, I don't want to say a break, because the thing about these two energies is that they're constantly vibing together, this Queen of Cups and this Hermit, whether that's ongoing for you, whether you've done that for the past few months, whether you've been working on that for years, or whether you're beginning to do that. It's going to be a constant dance, a constant tango between these two energies, if you want to utilize them correctly. It's not a one and done. I went to the chamber once, I saw a therapist once, and then I'm done. No. You'll have to go not to the chamber all the time, not to that specific therapist all the time, but the work that the Hermit does, which is to heal inner wounds, which is to reveal where you've been traumatized and trying to not fix it, but just show it to you and heal it, or invite you to heal it. You know, the Hermit, interestingly, is like a guide. You know, you're being guided by someone out here on that Appalachian Trail, or that Peruvian trail, that Peruvian mountain, whatever. And like I said, these could converge. This could be supporting that mission or that journey that you're taking. That these two things can be happening concurrently for some of you. And that's, yes. Just to kind of illustrate it a little bit better, I'll show you this card a little closer so you can see. You see how towards the back of the Hermit, it's a little darker, a little more cooler and more like, oh God, what's the word? Oh, that was a good word. It was there and now it's gone. It's not muted. Shadowy, that's not the word. There was a better word and I was like, that is the word. And as soon as it was in my head, it was gone. Anyway, so that more blue tone towards the back of the Hermit, that's that darker part of your consciousness or your subconsciousness, yeah? And towards the front, we've got a little bit more of a uptone or a warmer tone with those greenish, yellowish tones. So it's like this progression. If you think about it, on the spectrum of light, green is warmer than blue. Yellow, right? It goes yellow, right? Or is it orange? No, it goes yellow, right? Don't quote me. I'm like halfway dead, tired over here. This has been a day, but whatever. The purpose is this movement across the spectrum, getting away from it's right here on my wrist, basically. So yeah, so purple, blue, right, green, and then we get into orange and yellow. Thank you, that was correct, orange. So we're warming up. You're moving into warmer, brighter, more vibrant colors. A lot of you, maybe this is tied to anxiety, depression, whatever, but the work is being done. Specifically by you. Like, I feel there could be guides here, there could be therapists, there could be friends, people who are supporting you, but the bulk of the work is being done by you, Scorpio, and it's very personal to you, and I like it. I like the progression for you, okay? Now, 3 of Wands above that. So that is that ready to face the world. Maybe that's it. Again, I said for this people who are not even just the people who are traveling and working with the indigenous people. It's for every one of you. If you've been on this find myself, I gotta go find myself, hold my calls kind of trip, even if you're staying in your house, even if every day you go home after work, you know, some of you might not be able to, you don't have the luxury or the capability to take time off of work. So some of you go clock in at 9, clock out at 5, you go home, you say a prayer, you do a meditation, or you veg out in front of the TV. Whatever way you're working on yourself, whatever way you're trying to find yourself, you've been away from the world. Here is your return to the world. 3 of Wands. Put in the work, put in the time, and put in the desire, right? Because the 3 of Wands is, what do I want? You know, and the 2 of Wands, traditionally in the 2 of Wands, I should say, we're planning, we're deciding, we're weighing our options. And then the 3 of Wands, we've put out that initial step or that initial bit of work. And then we essentially, it's like weird. It's like, how can I say it? It's like testing on the waters, right? So in the case of something like food prep or working in a bakery, let's say, and you want to debut a new cake or a new, you know, dessert, whatever. You don't fill your store with full orders from your vendors, like, you know, maybe in your bakery you've never made a chocolate cake, let's say. So instead of buying X pounds of fudge or X pounds of cocoa to make 15 or 1,500 cakes, you do a trial run, right? So that's what I'm getting here. It's like a trial run, small batch, okay? So you come back from working with the shaman, you learned a thing or two, and you start doing whatever practice that you've learned, and you've been told by the shaman, by the village leader, whoever, you will want to do this every day. And you're like, every day? Whatever he's asked you to do. Every day? You're like, oh shit, that's a big commitment. I don't know if I can do that every day. So the compromise for you when you get back home is, okay, I'll do it every other day. Or if he's like, this needs to be done for 1 hour a day. And you're like, 1 hour? Buddy, do you know my life? But when I'm back home, I barely have 1 hour to do anything I want to do, let alone, so you compromise, you find some amended version of what you eventually want to do full time, eventually want to incorporate into your life wholeheartedly. Okay? So I feel this is once you return from the trip, once you return from that internal vacation that you've been on, and I don't want to call it vacation because it's not like it was, so super fun, whatever you've been doing. It's been hard work. And sure, you've like treated yourself to a couple of scoops of ice cream because it was a hard day, but that's, I don't want to make it like vacation. It's the most happiest thing you've ever done. No. But when you finally kind of break away from the very heavy impact or the very heavy work that you've had to do, you start to do a trial run. You do a small batch. You test the waters, put out a little bit, and you're like, okay, it worked. Let me try it again. Oh man, it worked. The cake tastes great. This chocolate cake is amazing. I love it. The customers love it. And maybe instead of cakes, you start out with cake pops. Okay? And then someone says, oh, do you do sheet cakes or can you do me a tier cake with that flavoring? And you're like, can I? Okay, I'll try it. And then you fulfill your first order. And then you fulfill another order, etc. And it builds and it builds and it builds until it becomes a regular routine part of your life. Making these chocolate cakes in your previously all vanilla cake bakery. All right? Does that make sense? So it's like this implementation of something new, but you have to try it first before you can really be sure that that is the thing you want to go forward with. Okay? Your outcome, Scorpio, for May. Page of Wands in reverse. So some of you might have a child in your life who is significant. Page of Wands might be a fire sign child, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, but you don't have to be. But in the case of a child, I feel like a little bit of this kid, this child, this baby, might be a little sad, might feel a little neglected. Not like neglected like somebody calls CPA or something like that. Or CPS, excuse me, CPA. CPS. Not like that, like the child is neglected and they're in danger and like they're malnourished or something, but I think like someone might be feeling like, mommy always does this and she doesn't have time for me, like a little whiny. And that's fine, children are, of course, are entitled to their emotions. They're just little adults, they're little human beings like us. They're not like little pod people or anything. So I'm feeling like a kid, regardless of their sign, just might feel a little bit like put to the side, not being a priority. So some of you might need to address that. You need to spend some time with your children. You need to reconnect with them after you get back off the plane from your 2-week I gotta find me journey. So make sure you check in with your kid. For those where this isn't about a child of yours or a child of significance in your life, I feel you're like putting this down, this, and I haven't showed you in the upright. There it is. That's what he looks like. Or she, well, I guess this is a she, since this deck only shows females. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Gender doesn't, I was remarking more about the illustration, not about the energies here. But this would be, you're not wanting to be like this. When we see the Page of Wands or any page, it's the first in the court cards, right? So that's the initiate. That is the first stage, the most immature, the most inexperienced. So some of you don't want that anymore. You don't want to be inexperienced. You don't want to be, for lack of a better word, ignorant or foolish or wet behind the ears. You're tired of that perception, or you're tired of feeling that way about yourself. A lot of you might have had a lack of confidence. You may have been very weary of taking this trip, of even booking the flight. You may have been like, I've never even traveled out of the United States. I just got my passport a month ago, just specifically so I could make this trip. So some of you we're living in this lack of experience, lack of confidence, lack of just like living in fear, in worry, not fear, worry. A lot of you were worried a lot. And so now you don't want to be like that. You don't want to worry. Perhaps this experience, whatever you've been working on, is going to allow you to do that. If it hasn't, I think your desire or what you're moving towards is a lessening of that worried energy, okay? And some of you, your perception of yourself or how other people have seen you has been as immature as someone who lacked or still lacks. Some people might still view you this way. Being smart, you know, not intelligence, but smart like book smart, or excuse me, life smart. So street smart also. So some people, naive, thank you. You might give the impression, or people have always perceived you as being naive, impressionable, weak, okay? For some of them, some people out there have viewed you as weak, or you viewed yourself as weak, and that's insulting to you. You're like, God damn it, I'm 45 years old. Why would you think I'm weak? Why would you, like, some of you are like really agitated by that impression. And there's a releasing of or wanting to throw that away. Just like dust that shit right off the table. I'm not weak. I'm not naive. I'm not some poor little sap that's going to be a victim in life. So there's a turning away from that energy. There's a turning away from that view of yourself, or other people viewing you that way. And if they continue to view you that way, I don't think you're going to stand for it. You're either going to be really firm with them and be like, listen, that's not who I am. You've misunderstood me. Or, you know what? If that's what you think of me, I'm just going to stop messing with you. I'm just not going to associate with you. It's kind of what I get there, okay? Now, your overall energy for the month of May is the Five of Wands. Oh, boy. So, some of you... No, I just like to note the illustration. Like, the illustration for this particular card I think is hilarious. Like, these bridesmaids fighting over a wedding bouquet. Oh, God. Like, I mean, I know people do that, but I've never liked that about weddings. Personally. I like the sentiment of it, but the fact that, like, some people, like, scratch and claw and, like, go crazy. It's my bouquet. Like, all right, Stacy, cool your jets. If you want to be the lady holding it, fine. Like, nope, it's not serious. Calm your tits. Anyway, that might apply to like one or two of you out there. But what I'm mostly getting is, for the overall energy for you, Scorpio, it's been a fight and a half for you to get something. Clarity, for you to get sort of to a certain position, like I said earlier about how you might be going and working for the Emperor, or working, you know, like a new job or whatever. It has been a fight and a half to get to that point. So it was a fight in terms of getting the interview, you know, gaining the skills so that you would be a viable candidate. You've worked really hard towards something. It's been a challenge, but you've faced it, you've seen it through, and you have had competition. You've had naysayers. You've had people who have doubted you. You've had people who have wanted to see you fall smack right on your face. People maybe have tried to trip you up. And that still might go on in the future. Might be tied to those people who think that you're weak or gullible or naive and all that stuff. But I think you're able to see this for what it is. It's petty, it's short-lived, it's not helpful to your situation, it's not helpful to your life, it doesn't enrich you in any way. So if people are giving you flack, you leave them alone. Oh, you don't believe in me, you don't support me, you doubt me, you challenge me, you try to sabotage me, so you leave them alone. Or if this is an internal thing, you leave that part of yourself alone. You change the inner dialogue with yourself, which we have talked extensively about in your reading in general anyway. So whatever it is, you're able to see that is not helpful, what you're saying, what you're doing. That's not helpful, what I'm saying, what I'm doing for myself or towards myself. And we begin to cut it out. right? We begin to trim that right out of our lives, right, Scorpio? So, and like I was saying down here with the Queen of Cups and the Hermit, I feel even if you put out one fire, that's not the end of it. You know what I mean? Like this has the potential in some of your lives to be a forest fire situation. You can, you know, squash the fire, quench the fire in one area, but, you know, a few acres over or a few 100 feet over, it's still raging. It's still something that you need to contend with and that you need to, you know, kind of handle. Okay? Wait. Right. Thank you. Because I was like, why am I saying that? Because normally the 5s are surmountable. You can do it. You can get over it. What I'm getting here is, for those where this is an external situation, it involves several people. So again, you might have a critic in your home, a spouse, a parent, a sibling, a roommate, whatever. They don't think this is right. They don't like what you're doing here, blah, 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 blah. And you guys have a little bit of a contentious relationship about one specific subject. Then you go to work. You've got a coworker who maybe they're not, you know, hating on you specifically, but they are very like, you know, just like a Debbie Downer. They're not positive. They have no optimism about the future. And then you have a best friend who's really cool, but then there's this one thing that they do. So it's like, the reason I'm saying there's more fires, like it's several little fires, or there might be a big fire, but you can only take it out one small part at a time, is because I think you have multiple people in your life, Scorpio, that bring you down. Whether they intend to or not, they bring you down. They weigh you down. They sap your energy. They plant seeds of doubt in your mind. They challenge you. And it's just like, it's a lot, especially if it is across several people. But like I said, you can take it on one at a time, and you can really, really improve the situation and improve the relationships for your benefit. If that means cutting them off, fine. If it means working together, trying to find a solution, trying to make it so that it's not as contentious, fine. So that's where it is surmountable. It's just a matter of, you might have to do it back to back to back to back to back with several different people, okay? Like, that was a lot to explain the overall, which I normally don't do, but I hope that cleared it up for you guys, okay? Scorpio, that is the reading for May. A little intense, but definitely not the most intense reading I've done today. Oh my god. Anyway, guys, if you like the video, you like the reading, go ahead and hit the like button for me. I would appreciate that. You can leave comments down below. Let me know how this resonated in your life. You know I love to read that stuff. It gives me affirmation as a reader, and, you know, I'm nosy a little bit. You can also share this video across your social media platforms for me. Let other people know what you're watching on YouTube, at least this part of what you're watching on YouTube. And that brings in more viewership for me. And of course, if you are not subscribed and you keep coming back, or this is your first time here and you want to see me again, hit the subscribe button, all right? And hit the notification bell. That keeps you up to date on all the times that I upload. And of course, it shows me and YouTube how much you like me. All that stuff that you can do down below with the buttons and everything lets YouTube and me know that you had a good time here, okay? All right, guys, I will be back soon to do your mid-May. I will be doing that, your mid-May readings as well as your June readings. Until then, Scorpio, I almost called you Sagittarius again. Somebody's dealing with Sagittarius. I'm sorry. But until then, Scorpio, I do appreciate you guys watching. Take care. Bye.